But he told me just go out in the water, wait for the bubbles to clear. That's action. And then I just came out of the water and grabbed her, and she was absolutely shocked. And they got the shot of her abject fear before she grabbed my hands and said, "Get the F off of me." He didn't say action.
Hi everyone, MC Ghoul here with WeAreCritiX.com and the X Screen Podcast. We got to talk to Ari Lehman, the OG Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. He's going to be appearing at Silver Scream Convention here in Worcester, Massachusetts, and we got to chit-chat about his band First Jason, as well as reminisce a little bit of Betsy Palmer. Let's see what he had to say.
Ari, thank you for being here with us. How are you today?
How are you?
Oh, I'm
MC
so great.
Ghoul. MC Ghoul.
MC Ghoul.
Ari Lehman, rhymes with demon. The first Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th at your service, the boy in the lake. When's the last time you saw Friday the 13th? Can you remember?
not too long, because the 40th anniversary hit, or no, excuse me, not 40, but 44th anniversary hit, what was it, in June or something like that?
Yeah.
So I totally binged a few of them. We did a little homage to the anniversary when we first started this podcast, actually. We've only been working on it all summer, so you were right there in our first thing that we did. You were in it.
Well, thank you. That means so much to me. You know, indeed, it's 44 years, and you know, I'm just very gratified that people still enjoy and have so much fun with the very first Friday the 13th. I never take that for granted.
Yeah, and we're going to celebrate that at Silver Screen Con here in Worcester, Massachusetts, September 13th, 14th, and 15th, right? You're signing some autograph, meeting some guests, giving us a rocker show.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because, you know, hailing from that area, Ice Nine Kills, Spencer Charnas reached out to me a couple years ago and asked me to sing on the acoustic version of Thank God It's Friday. Because, you know, they do songs about every horror franchise.
Yes,
then he was so kind as to jump in, and he sings and appears in the video of a First Jason song. And you can see that on YouTube. It's called The Scapegoat. After that, in fact, we got to open for Twisted and Ice Nine Kills at the very first Silver Screen Con, which was in Danvers. And now they've moved it to Worcester. And I love Worcester because that's where our good buddies Lethal Records are. And we do a lot of events with them. We just did an event with them up in New Hampshire, in fact. That's that whole Juggalo scene. But, you know, not to digress. Yeah, Spencer is absolutely a genius. He's led Ice Nine Kills, in my opinion, to be at the forefront of horror metal. And this event, Silver Screen Con, is without parallel. It's so much fun. If you're into horror, you gotta be there. Wow. Sean Cunningham.
It's actually my first time going.
Oh my gosh. It's unfair to the other conventions, I tell you. This is one of the new conventions that has made the effort to bring together metal and horror, who have always been, you know, together forever. So they've really had the foresight. And there are certain other conventions that have done this too, like For the Love of Horror in England and Astronomicon, but that's Twisted's con. But Silver Scream is absolutely amazing. And I think the reason is because all the members of Ice Nine Kills are dedicated horror fans, and you certainly can tell that from the lyrics of Spencer's music. And the amazing thing is, First Jason gets to open the concert, as they call it, and it's opening for TX2, Avatar, In This Moment, and Ice Nine Kills. And then Spencer has asked me to come out with my crazy electric guitar and join them for the finale when they're going to play Thank God It's Friday. So, yeah.
We're going to see you twice on that RIP stage.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Hey, Ari, are you excited to listen to Jamie Kennedy bust out some jokes?
Jamie Kennedy's awesome. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's even such a good show.
Is he the MC of the show?
He is, and he has a stand-up set too.
Ah, I love that.
Yeah, this party's gonna be off the hook.
I love Jamie Kennedy because, I mean, this is crazy, but there's a movie called Bowfinger, which stars Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy, and Jamie Kennedy's in it. And I'm just so inspired by that movie, and I love his role as the car thief.
Yeah, he's so hilarious. I mean, of course, Scream, that solidified him for me. He's like a horror fan, you know?
Yes,
oh, man. But actually, speaking of this show, I got to ask, I absolutely loved The Price of Peace. That song goes so hard. You guys shred so hard on that one. Are you guys going to play it?
I'm pretty sure that's in the set list. I think it is. I that's one of my favorite songs to play. Yeah, I love that. I love that introduction, and thank you. The Price of Peace. Wow, I really, that has got to be perhaps my favorite first Jason song too. It has a little philosophical insight, you know, which is something I'm glad that the fans have allowed me that range and been so kind, you know, as to give us that. And I think we better make sure that's in the set then.
Yes, please. The video is really fun too. Where'd you guys film that?
We filmed that in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
No way.
Yes, on a hill in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And there was an amazing group together of all our fans. And I remember when the director, James Callahan, directed by James Callahan, when he said to me, we got to this hill in the middle of the woods. He said, where are we going to be? He said, we're shooting it up there, man. And it was like 90 degrees. And I thought, but then he goes, no problem. And they had a bunch of golf carts to bring our equipment up there. So I was like, oh, thank goodness. But
yeah, you had all that eyeliner too. Can't sweat that through.
Yeah, and that hat. That cool hat.
Very steampunk metal, you know? No, that was a fun video.
Well, it's time for us to do some more videos too. And First Jason is working on a whole new album right now. So that's all in the works. I don't want to divulge too much, but we've got some exciting things. Also, I don't know if you've checked out the collaboration that we did. We did a killer collab track, okay? It's got Courtney Gaines, who played Malachi in Children of the Corn. It's got Alex Vincent, who played Andy in Child's Play. It's got the sexy sax man, Tim Capello from
Oh, no way.
Yes. And then me, and then Twisted themselves. So it's a hip hop track. It's called Killing It. And there's the original version and the remix by our good friend DJ Flatline. That just is on fire on Spotify right now. So I'd love it if people would check that out.
You know, even the post that you guys made with it, where you mashed up Nirvana's Nevermind with Young Jason.
Yeah.
Great touch.
Yeah, that was DJ Flatline's idea. Yes.
Brilliant. It worked so well. Speaking of you being the boy in the lake, I had a quick question for you.
I got an answer for you.
I know. You're the one. How cold was that water when you went in October?
Well, everybody asked me that question. I think for me as a kid, I have to emphasize that there was no, discomfort for me on the set of Friday the 13th. I had so much fun. We were basically trying to scare Adrienne King, the actress who was in the boat. So, but the thing you point out, which is correct, the first scenario where little Jason is drowning and Mama Voorhees is saying, he was my only son, today is his birthday, he wasn't a very good swimmer. That was shot in August of 1979. Then after some different turn of events, they shot the ending sequence where little Jason grabs Alice Hardy out of the boat in October. That's correct. Now, I don't recall it as being really cold, but I think that probably for Adrienne, because, she's sitting there in the boat waiting, And the funny thing about that is Sean Cunningham, the first take, made an arrangement with me that he wasn't going to say action. And so there's Adrienne, of course, like a good actress, she's waiting for him to say action. But he told me just go out in the water, wait for the bubbles to clear. That's action. And then I just came out of the water and grabbed her, and she was absolutely shocked. And they got the shot of her abject fear before she grabbed my hands and said, "Get the F off of me." He didn't say action.
Yeah, she's like, "What is he doing? His kid in the water."
Yeah. Oh, we had never really met before. She's like, "Who is this? What is going on?" Yeah, she had not really been told exactly what was about to happen. But she played it off amazingly because the second take, and if you watch her, she just goes all the way back, she's amazing. So
yeah, she leaned in hard on that.
Yeah.
And speaking of how that scene kind of landed, I felt like I feel like I heard you say that Jaws kind of played a little bit into like some of your influence then, and I love that it kind of reflected this stunt work almost, right? Like you're a like stunt double shark or something.
Crazily, the name of the little boy who gets eaten by Jaws is Voorhees. I don't know if there's any.
No way.
Yes, but of course,
I
the first Friday the 13th, even the name Jason, which looks kind of like the word Jaws, it's kind of like Jaws in the woods, you could say. But the funny thing about it is, not for the drowning sequence, okay, when I was a little boy and Jaws came out, I used to do a thing with my friends to try to scare our parents where, you would kind of put your foot like a dorsal fin in the water and you'd look this way and then, you'd pretend that you're being eaten by a shark. And one time I successfully scared my parents. So that was my real acting audition. I said, man. So then, I would continue to do it every time we went to the beach. I'm drowning out here. They were like, yeah, okay, fine, But
so it sounds like that role was made for you.
When I got to the set of Friday the 13th, I did the same thing and they loved it. But if you watch carefully, when little Jason goes down for the final count, there's that foot. I bring the...
All right, I'm going to have to watch it again tonight. I got to see that.
Watch it, you'll see. And they said, cut. And I thought, oh no, they're going to see my foot. And you know how a little kid is. You think you've ruined everything. I thought,
oh no.
I thought it's all over. I've ruined everything. The adults are going to be angry with me. No, but then they put it in the movie. I don't know if they knew that was my homage to Jaws.
What a great little Easter egg there. Now,
yeah, watch it. You'll see.
But speaking of like homaging to Jaws, you're a horror fan, right?
Yes.
Like, through and through. Okay,
yes.
Did you watch In a Violent Nature?
I didn't see that yet. I'm sorry.
He reminded me a lot of Jason Voorhees, and so I was going to ask if you had a chance to see it. Maybe you need to see what his character inspired.
I spend my time watching like older horror movies. One I saw recently, which I think people should pay attention to, which I feel has both the roots of both Chucky and Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
It's a movie that stars Anthony Hopkins and Margaret and Burgess Meredith. And the reason that people, I don't think, know so much about it, it's 1978. So it's before both movies. But there are images and plot lines that, in my opinion, became Chucky and became Friday the 13th. Okay, it's called Magic. And Anthony Hopkins plays a magician who has a puppet. And by the end of the movie, you can't tell, is the puppet real or is it in his mind? In the same way that we don't know, is little Jason real or is it in his mother's mind? But the scenes in which Anthony Hopkins does this transition are absolutely brilliant. you won't. You have to remind yourself that there's only one actor playing the role. It's his tour de force, and there's this great scene in a lake. The guy, I'll tell a little bit. You know, he sleeps with the wife of his friend, and then they're in a boat on a lake together. And the guy turns to him and says, you know, did you sleep with my wife? And it's very tense, and it's very reminiscent of Friday the 13th. I really recommend it.
That's awesome. Sounds like you just gave me some homework. I'm gonna have to do a little throwback review then.
Oh, I can
so
go
I'll
on.
send that to you.
I could go on, but that's one that I think slasher fans should check out because it just
Magic with Anthony Hopkins.
It's just so well photographed, and it's just a wonderful movie.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, anytime that we get some horror fans giving us recommendations, we put that right on the queue.
That's awesome. You know, I think that one, MC Ghoul, slid through the radar because the name, it's just magic. And it's not evil magic or that fucking puppet, pardon me. That fucking puppet, pardon me. No, my puppy's looking at me now. Oh my God. But all I'm saying is the name Magic, it's so banal. I bet you back in 78, some people probably thought, oh, it's about a fun little puppet, you know? So.
Yeah, you know, and coming off of a lot of exploitation films too that did have those kind of borderline cheesy names, if you will.
Yeah, totally. They could have.
70s were an amazing
such a
film
great
era.
movie. They could have come up with a better title. Yeah.
But I'm sure they couldn't have casted anyone better than Anthony Hopkins.
Oh my God! And it's his age. It's before Silence of the Lambs. Yes.
By a couple years.
Yeah, it's just really good.
You know, speaking of legends, I hear a lot of your stories about Betsy Palmer, which I'm obsessed with her. I love her.
You're obsessed.
You've heard her voice. My God, what an icon, you know? And then
I love that line where she says, "I'm not afraid." I love that where Alice runs. It's kind of a giallo thing, kind of like Deep Red, because she runs the Alice, who's the final girl, runs directly into the arms, literally hugging the killer. Oh my God. They killed Bill. They killed Ned.
And she even caresses her cheek, you know?
I'm not afraid. You know, it reminds you of that old lady in Deep Red, although I don't know which came first. But yeah, Betsy Palmer was perhaps one of the most amazing people I ever met in my life. She gave me a lot of great advice. She told me to be independent artist. She saw my wheelhouse of capabilities and also, you know, my demeanor. And she felt that I would be best suited to being independent. And she was right. She said to me, fuck Hollywood. I like to do dinner theater. And she did dinner theater into her 80s, mind you.
Really? I didn't know that about her.
Oh, yes. And she would memorize, she had entire scripts memorized. Again, she was on Broadway. She did like Gypsy, and she did all those plays on Broadway. She was a lead actress in Broadway. You can see all the playbills. She lived with James Dean for 2 months. James Dean lived in her apartment for 2 months, and they were lovers. And you can see them together on an amazing live TV piece, okay, if you didn't know this, called Witness to a Kill. It stars Betsy Palmer and James Dean. And it was like Saturday Night Live. It was live television in New York City. And it was being broadcast to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people live. And so James Dean witnesses a kill. And the only person who knows that he's the witness and not the killer is Betsy Palmer. So anyway, it's a great little play. But at one point, James Dean forgets his lines. And yes, and it's live.
Oh no, so what does Betsy do?
So he's looking at Betsy Palmer and she goes, you were going to say, and then she gives him his line. And,
like
and
a
he
pro.
just looks at her like, oh, he just melts like, I love you so much. It's a moment you can see. It's a moment you can see.
That's so great.
Yeah, it's really wonderful.
Well,
but but let me elaborate about her interaction with the fans. She was such a wonderful person. She shared the same birth date as my own mother, November 1st. And both of them had the capability to bring out the best in people. And she would have little parties in her room. I would bring her flowers, and she would say, get some guys, we're going to move the furniture. So we would move the furniture to suit her tastes and feng shui. And she would have flowers. And, I would bring her little treats, like, she was very good at rolling joints. And yes,
woman after my heart.
And we were both vegetarians. So we would go eat, Italian food and share a bottle of wine, and everyone else would get steak. And then we go back to her room, and I would tell jokes and everything. And she would often say to me, Ari, pass the joint. It's not a microphone.
Well, she probably would have loved being at Silverstream, considering we're in a recreational state, Would have been a fun after party with Betsy there.
She would have adored Ice Nine Kills, because she liked that sort of approach where it's word centric, and the words, and we really have to look to Spencer. He's such a wordsmith. Constantly, even if you get a text from him, it's cleverly worded. And I want to remind everyone, as I often have to remind people on independent film sets, that yes, special effects are very important, and yes, scary sound effects and scary sets, but even Godzilla, even King Kong was just a word. Once just a word in the mind of a writer that they typed down on a little ticky tip, because back then you didn't even have, so way back then it's just an idea, and we always have to have respect for words. And I think that with other horror themed bands have taken a more brutal approach than Ice Nine Kills, who take what I feel is a poetic approach, and certainly a dramatic approach, a theatrical approach. He even calls it oft Broadway.
Well, it seems like it really echoes the storytelling, that important part of storytelling in horror, right? And all writing, all entertainment. Ice Nine is taking that into their lyrics. It's not just music; they're also storytelling.
Well, I agree. And that's what a great device horror is to get people's attention. And it's been used in the highest forms of literature from the beginning of time. And you look at Greek mythology, it's just full of horrific images. You look at the biblical literature, you look at opera, you look at for instance, have you ever seen, here's another movie for you. It's the 1948 version of Hamlet, which was directed by the same director who directed Horror Hotel, the Elizabeth Selwyn movie. That wonderful. It's done on a soundstage, and it's all misty, and they go back to Salem, or it's about witches. But anyway, it's the same director, and it's produced. I mean, pardon me. It's written, or it's Laurence Olivier is the actor. He plays Hamlet. So if you see the scenes, the way they portray Hamlet's ghost, the way they portray Ophelia's suicide, the way they portray Polonius's death, and the big death scene at the end, the whole thing is a horror movie from beginning to end. And I think they were trying to say, hey, look, horror is high literature. It's not to be, what's the point? Everywhere you look, that is the best device to use to get people's attention.
Plus, it always tells the stories of those most marginalized. It really gives people a voice that didn't usually feel like they have one.
Very true. Very true. I mean, gosh, again, in Shakespeare, look at Richard III.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposedly deformed. He says, "Now is the winter of our discontent." And yes, it's a very horrific thing. I mean, gosh, in Hamlet, he says, "Now I shall do such bitter business as the day would quake to look upon." Yes, he says, "Murder."
Yeah, you're
foul.
Shakespeare.
All those lines come from Shakespeare, and then just pick up Edgar Allan Poe's work of poetry and spend hours and hours and enjoy that, because that'll take you to a different place too. It's just amazing.
Always Edward Allen, and then all of a sudden you'll start to see so much of his writing influencing all these horror scripts as well.
Yeah. Well,
you'll start to build your fandom.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Edgar Allan Poe. To this day, I'm still trying to figure out what happened at the end there. And then I've been to the Poe houses, because there's many Poe houses.
Speaking of houses, I read that you and your wife had been working on a beautiful Victorian home.
Oh my God, yes. Well, my beautiful wife, Elaine, who I met in Chicago while I was touring with an African band. Yes, we successfully renovated a Queen Anne Victorian, and that was years ago. Now we've moved to a different part of Chicago, and we love it. But yes, absolutely, yeah. And
did you make it a little goth?
Well, I would love to say I did, but in that case, I had to. It was one of those things where we just had to kind of make it look really cheerful. But inside, there's plenty of scary stuff, as you can see behind me. Wherever
right on brand.
Wherever I go, it's Camp Crystal Lake.
Good. I actually have a doormat of Camp Crystal Lake. So.
But I will tell you an interesting house thing. Silence of the Lambs house, okay? Buffalo Bill's house is an Airbnb.
I saw that. That's awesome.
Something
it's
like
on my bucket list.
Perryopolis, PA. So the people who run it are so sweet to us. When they see First Jason is touring in that area, and we are playing in Pittsburgh for Halloween at the Hard Rock Cafe with green jelly. So, that's going to be quite a show, but I hope we get to stay there then. See, when they don't have, guests for the Airbnb, they'll say, "Oh, you guys can use the Buffalo Bills house." And it is remarkable. It is a wonderful place. It's absolutely stuffed top to bottom with memorabilia. You have the actual costumes. Tom Savini built a pit in the basement. And
I hear it's like a perfect replica, including costumes.
No, I mean, it's the actual house. It's not a replica. It's the house.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you mean but the pit, of course. Yes, the pit is the pit. The pit is a replica. Yes, the house didn't actually have a pit in it, but yeah, the pit. They took the whole basement and they did the pit, and where Buffalo Bill has his wardrobe, and it's so much fun. So yeah, I recommend that experience to people. And the other thing that people should know about, of course, now upcoming, First Jason and I will be at Silver Stream on the 14th and 15th. On Friday the 13th of September, however, First Jason and I will be at the actual Blairstown Diner, where they shot Friday the 13th. Yes. So there's a big event there in New Jersey, in Blairstown, New Jersey, at the Blairstown Diner, and we'll be doing a meet and greet and a concert and a hot sauce tasting and all that good stuff on Friday the 13th of September at the actual location.
Well, awesome. We know where to go find you. First in New Jersey and then in Worcester for the weekend with First Jason and Silver Screen Convention. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm sure the fans are very much looking forward to seeing you.
Yes.
Seeing you then.
Me too. Are you going to be there? What, are you coming? Where are you going to be?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I am. We got to go and find out what's going on with our horror. I gotta see what the fans are doing. I want to see everybody's costumes.
Oh God, the cosplayers at that show are amazing. It's just, I gotta emphasize, it's like a no stress, no BS, easygoing, but it's packed to the nines. And I don't know how they make those two things work at the same time.
Well, the crazy thing with the RIP show, it's totally sold out. It sold out like forever ago.
Yeah.
So are you excited to play at Pack House then?
Oh my God. I got to admit, I'm very excited because First Jason usually plays for small rock clubs of like 200 to 300 people, which I love because I can literally meet and greet everybody just about. There's a whole new dynamic to playing a crowd like that. It's like you're playing to a field, you're playing to a forest, you're playing to this vast mountain of people. It's
mountains of energy and sound and shredding.
Wow. And I'm kind of mystically inclined, and I do like really, I love that energy, but I won't lie to you, wow, it makes, when you're there, it's very exciting.
Well, I cannot wait to go see you, Ari. Thank you so very much for spending some time with us here today. Anything else you want to tell the fans before we say goodbye?
This has been such a fun interview. Thank you so much. Yeah, check in with us at firstjason.com and on Spotify and on YouTube, First Jason. And, if you mention this broadcast to me at my table and you say MC
Extreme
Ghoul
sent you.
Say MC Ghoul rules. That's what you got to say. MC Ghoul rules. Then, we'll give you a free something at the table, okay? And remember, Jason never dies.
I'll go find you there, Ari. Can't wait to meet you in person, man.
Awesome.